Hello everyone, and thank you for being here. I want to introduce myself first. My name is David. My background is in IT, education, and management. And my entire professional life has revolved around the internet. And since I discovered Bitcoin, I understood that it will completely transform the world as we know it today. And I really strongly believe that. And because of that, I created this group called meetup group called Dublin Crypto Talks. Currently, there is more than 1,700 people, and as a members of the group. And I have a smaller group that this is about trading only. And our mission is to accelerate the advent and adoption of cryptocurrency, blockchain technologies, and whatever you want to call it. And I am running this course because next week is gonna be the halving, and I believe it's important for everyone to know what implications there are with this halving. Bitcoin, I believe, is gonna be really important in the future. It's still very small, and we will see that today. But also, what I mean is, I think it's really important to know how it was created, a little bit of the beginning of the creation of Bitcoin, to understand the context and to understand the potential for the future, and for to improve our current system. And you can see that I believe the origin of Bitcoin then is an absolute requirement to learn about Bitcoin. So let's talk about Bitcoin then. Bitcoin market cap today, as of today, is 171 billion US dollars. So this is the entire, all the Bitcoins that are currently in the market make up all this amount of money. And the volume of the transactions in the last 24 hours is 45 billion US dollars. So it's actually a lot, because usually it's less than this, but has been increasing in the last few months. Please, I'm not sure the audio is working, so if you could maybe comment and click and like the video, maybe that will help me to understand that the audio is correct. It's okay, it's working fine. So let's back to BTC dominance. What is this? Is the amount of capital compared to the rest of cryptocurrencies. There are thousands of cryptocurrencies. There are many thousands, more than 10,000 cryptocurrencies, which are most of them just copies of the open source of Bitcoin. They have no value, most of them, and all the market capital compared to the Bitcoin one is make up for the 33% of the rest of the market. So Bitcoin will be 67%. Just to give you an idea, when Bitcoin was way more expensive back in 2017, by the end of 2017, the BTC dominance went down to nearly 42%. So 67% means that it's way stronger than before, comparing to the rest of cryptocurrencies. The maximum supply will be the amount of Bitcoins in circulation in the future. That will be in the year 2140, and there will be 21 million. So 21 million Bitcoins is the maximum that will ever be. That is, we'll see that later on, but that's important to know as well. So another thing is you have the current supply, which is what is already on supply, like a current on the market, and is 18 million. that means that only there will be 3 more millions to be mined and to be supplied to the market between now and the year 2140. It is the first cryptocurrency. So there were no cryptocurrencies before that, and it was created in January, the 3rd of January 2009. And the source code used for most others. So the source code, is open source. So it's available for everyone. Everybody can check it, can modify it, can create their own cryptocurrency, and therefore there is no hidden code. There is no surprises, let's say. So it's all open, and everybody can check it. If you know about coding, obviously you can check the code and see whether you like it or not. And again, let's see, 1 satoshi is the smaller quantity of Bitcoin, the smaller portion of Bitcoin. So you cannot divide Bitcoin into something smaller than this, and this is 8 digits. So that will be 0.0000001. That will be 1 satoshi, and it's called satoshi because of the creator of Bitcoin, which we'll see later on. Let me check if I can just okay. So I wanted to show you this as well. Bitcoin obituaries. Here, this is a funny website where they show anytime there is there something in the news about Bitcoin dying, has died, or is all like a bubble or all this. So this at least 180 times. So you can go to this website and read the news. Each one of them is owned by years, and in 2020, something curiously is only once. There is once one instance, whereas in other years, in past years, there is like several hundreds. Okay, so you can see 99bitcoins.com/Bitcoin obituaries. Here is to have an idea of Bitcoin market cap. We saw it's 171. That was today, but this is more like 1 week ago, something like that. And you can compare. You can see how small Bitcoin is, the entire Bitcoin market cap, comparing to even Apple, Amazon. You can see it's a portion, really, a portion of Apple. It's very, very small. So that says a lot. That gives you an idea of the potential, the growing potential that Bitcoin has, and especially in these times of economic crisis where people are, let's say, having trouble with their jobs and to keeping up with the economy in terms of you have a stock market, you have any stock, you have any investment on the stock market. Sometimes happens that you whatever company you are investing in, the value on the stock market can just drop a lot, and you can lose a lot of money. Same happen with even even the money, the currency itself, because euros or US dollars are supposed to lose value over time because of inflation and because of the creation of new coins and the printing money that is happening right now. There is 3 trillion US dollars more that are gonna be created shortly. So, and this is just an example. So maybe Bitcoin for some people is like a gold 2.0, and we can see that maybe in the coming month. So people may trust Bitcoin because you cannot just fake and create more supply, like new supply, and therefore you cannot create new inflation. You can, and that's a good thing, you know. That's one of the things that can keep the money safe in theory. In theory. Okay, so you can see compared to gold is just 43 times less, and you can see physical money, stock markets, and so on. Okay, so this is why we are having this course right now. Is it about the halving? Is the main thing. It's happening next week. We'll see when, and it's supposed to be in 4 days and a few hours, but it's not clear yet. And it's not. The reason is because it's not about time. It's about the amount of blocks left. So we can see here. You see, we are in 2020. Therefore, we are here, and every 4 years, approximately, there's a change in the way the new coins are given and are supplied to the market. So to understand this, we need to know that the miners, I suppose you heard about miners, because miners, and pretty much it's like computers trying to solve like a puzzle, right? And if they find the solution, then they are rewarded with this reward, which is new Bitcoins. So they are, right now, they are given 12.5, and after, in 5 days or so, it's gonna be 6.25, so it's gonna be half. And that is very important to understand, because the supply currently is 1,800 Bitcoins every day. So in order to keep the price, means that because the miners need to pay their expenses, means that this 1,800 Bitcoins need to be sold at current price without affecting the price. So it's this pretty much a pressure to lower the price of Bitcoin, because there are more and more supply every day of Bitcoins. No, the miners don't sell all the Bitcoins, but when the price of Bitcoin goes down, means that they have more pressure to sell, because otherwise they won't be able to pay their expenses like electricity, which is a big cost for them. So if they are not, they don't really make enough money to pay their cost, they need to stop mining. But when they see the price going down, some of them sell their Bitcoins just in case it keeps going down to the point where they will lose money. They sell them. Okay, so it's like a vicious circle, and therefore, if the supply every day is half of current one, which is 900 Bitcoins, means that even if they feel they need to sell their Bitcoins, they will have less to sell. Therefore, for the same demand, there's gonna be less, half the offer. Therefore, the price should go up only for that. At the same time, if a miner is still mining, means that it's still making enough money. For them, the price should go up in order to even cover costs and make some profit, obviously, because it's a business. So they want to make money. So that will mean that these 900 Bitcoins should have a higher price in order for them to be economically, let's say, to have a business really that is giving profit to them. Okay, so for a period of time, maybe the Bitcoin price can go below their cost price, but just for very little time. Otherwise, they will have to stop and some of them will do, because some of them are using old machines that are not going to be profitable anymore. So the cost of electricity will be higher than the possible money they can make by keep mining. Okay, so it's a way to wash the market and get rid of the less productive miners. Okay, so this is the schedule, and that's the good thing about Bitcoin. This is about mathematics. This is in the code of Bitcoin, and this is not going to change. So you know when it's going to happen next time, the next reduction, which is again half, and there's less and less and less and less Bitcoin to be mined every block. So it started with 50 Bitcoins, then it went to 25, now it's 12.5, and next week will start being 6.25 for 4 years. It's actually 120,000 blocks, which is approximately 4 years. You have any questions, you can write on the chat, and I will read it at the end of the presentation. I will go through the comments, and I will answer any question that you may have. So here is again a halving. Sorry, 210. I swapped the first two digits, so it's 210,000 blocks are mined approximately 4 years. The block reward halves. I will keep a halving. Well, this is what I said. And just a curiosity, as you see here, this actually not going to be 21 million. It's going to be 20,999,999,998. So this is not even going to be 21 million. And by the way, right now there are 18 million. We can see here 18 million already mined. So for the rest of the time, it's going to be only 3 million. But the funny thing is, out of this 18 million, approximately it's estimated that 4 million are lost for people who lost their hard drive, they forgot the key, or they have any problem with the computers, and or died. People who died, and the family don't know their passwords, or they don't even know that they have Bitcoins. And because we saw the supply, the previous supply, it was 50 Bitcoins per block, and the price of Bitcoin was very, very low. And that's why that happened. So many people didn't value really what they have, and they bought a new computer, and maybe they didn't make any backup of the previous one and things like that. Obviously, nowadays, if they're still alive, they're not happy, obviously, but that's life, you know. So I recommend you to keep a good backup. Now, Bitcoin with capital or lowercase. You may see both sometimes, but just be aware of Bitcoin with capital letter. It relates to the protocol and the payment network, because Bitcoin as a network of computers connected, and it's a payment network because that's the infrastructure needed for running or for sending and receiving coins. And Bitcoin with lowercase will be the coin itself, the cryptocurrency. So you talk about how many Bitcoins you have to spend for buying a car, then you use Bitcoin with lowercase. Okay, only that. Let's see the origins. We'll see who created Bitcoin, but this is based on previous technologies created by other people. Okay, so you have, I was happy enough to meet this David Chaum here just a couple of months ago, no, more than 2 months ago, in a conference. David Chaum, this guy is now running another crypto project, and this guy was one of the creators of digital cash protocol called eCash. So this was more than 20 years ago, around 20 years ago, and together with Stefan Brand. Okay, Also, the proof of work system. This is what miners do. They do proof of work, and you can see Hal Finney was the creator of it. Adam Back creating the idea of it, and then Hal Finney implemented it, like built it. And some people say Hal Finney was Satoshi Nakamoto. Other people say that this was Nick Szabo as well, but we don't really know. We'll see that later on. A distributed scarcity system was built on V-money and was created by Wei Dai. And also a technology called BitGold, which is very similar to Bitcoin, was created by Nick Szabo, and a process mechanism for controlling market inflation. So just to point out that all of them deny to being Satoshi Nakamoto. So here is this is supposed to be Satoshi Nakamoto. It's funny. This guy pretty much was asked to be like, it was in the media because they thought he was Satoshi Nakamoto, and this guy is called Dorian Satoshi Nakamoto. This guy he was living near Nick Szabo, and what happened is basically this Satoshi and Nakamoto are very common names and surnames in Japan. So it's a very, very common name, like, I don't know, like James here, or like Dave, or many other names that are very, very common and many people have it. So, and this guy, I believe is a mathematician, but basically he was saying, no, I'm not Satoshi Nakamoto from the beginning, but still it was in the media. It's kind of famous, his face. It's kind of a funny thing. But who is the creator? Nobody knows. There are a lot of rumors. People every now and then come up saying that they are Satoshi Nakamoto, but they cannot prove it. The only way to prove it will be there's a way to prove it, which is signing a transaction. So they can sign a message, which is not necessarily needs to be a transaction. So every wallet on most wallets have a way to enter a message and sign it with your private key, and that way it proves that you are the owner and you have the private key. Okay, and don't worry too much if you don't understand, but we will see that. So, okay, it's not entirely true that nobody knows. Somebody may know. But if they do, obviously, and if they are still alive, then it is one of the best kept digital secrets of our time. I believe that the CIA was looking for the creator as well. They analyzed the writing, and there's some news about the possible British person by the way he was writing, and it's supposed to be one person only, but some people say it's a group of people. And also by the time that he was writing, their messages, his messages on the boards, they believe that it's somebody in Britain. But it depends where you go for getting information. But who, to be honest, is doesn't make any, I mean, it's actually better not to know who is the owner. So no one knows who originally created Bitcoin, but there's a name is Satoshi Nakamoto, and this person or group of people was the author of a white paper. The white paper was titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, and what it was released or made public in on internet in 2008. Also, the domain bitcoin.org was also created or requested with fake names in 2008, and the 3rd of January 2009 was the first time that the Bitcoin network started to work, creating the first block called Genesis block. And since then, the network has been working. So that is more than 11 years as of today. That means that obviously it's not something that happened last year or a month ago. That has been 11 years already, more than 11 years working and not being hacked. Well, the Satoshi Nakamoto alias remained active and visible until April 2011, and then it was handed over to the development of the Bitcoin core system or code to a growing group of people that they're volunteers. And obviously with the Genesis block, the first 50 Bitcoins were created as well. So here is the white paper, the first page, and yeah, we can read a little bit, and it says that online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. That is really, it's the first time in history that this could happen. So before, that wasn't possible unless you are talking about cash, obviously, that you can pay some cash to somebody. But if you need to send a transfer, you need to send money from one place to another. The only way really using internet and so on is through this system or through a financial institution, like you can call it like PayPal or bank transfer or many other systems that we have today. They are all centralized, but cryptocurrency are not, or are not supposed to. Some of them are. Another very important thing is to prevent double spending. Why? Because obviously a digital format currency or any other digital format media, for example, let's say a picture of or a song or a video, they all can be copied. In fact, when you send an email, you are copying some text from from your computer to other computers, and it's going from computer to computer making copies. So there is a trace, and there is several copies of the same text over internet, and you cannot do this with money because obviously if that could happen, then everybody will be rich, and so you need something to prevent this double spending. So if you spend it once, you will never have it again, and the person will receive it, but we make sure that nobody else receive it. The very same coins, let's say, more or less like cash itself. So, and it's based on timestamp transactions, and by hashing them into an ongoing chain, and hash-based proof of work. So if you don't understand anything, any of this, don't worry too much, but we will see that later on, okay? In the coming days. So we have an author which is completely unknown. Is this good or bad? In my opinion, and many other people's opinion, is very, very good, because there is no a place, there's no a person, there's no a CEO where governments or entities or judge can go and request anything from them, request to change the network, request to send back money, roll back the blockchain, or things like that. So the only thing that you can do, the only time that you can do something like that is when everybody on the network agrees, and that's called consensus. Okay, and it's very, very, trust me, this is very difficult to get everybody on board for changing something on Bitcoin. and has been criticized, but also I believe it's a good thing. It's both. It is open source, so everybody can play, can see the code, can create their own coin, but what you cannot replicate is the way it was created and the way it has been adopted. So there is a track record of 11 years, and this is something that nobody can replicate. And that's the value of it. So it is decentralized, which means no other person, entity, or organization owns or controls the utility and the value of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin and the underlying technologies and protocols were created and designed to be freely delivered to the world, and to introduce us to a new way of thinking, interacting, and transacting with others. It sounds like it's, we take it too seriously, but if you think about it, it's really a change of the it creates a different change, different way to think about money. And most people, when you ask them what is money, they don't even know what to say. They don't. It's like who creates the money? They don't really can explain you how it's created and how it works, and therefore they are not interested. But also there is not much information out there. You go to school or even a business classes or whatever, they don't really explain very well how it works. And I'm not saying this is on purpose, but once you understand how it works, you value more this type of technologies, because it's based on mathematics, not in politicians or institutions changing their way to interact with the rest of the world, and the creation of the way they create the new money. Just to give you an example, if you are saving money for the future and your government decides to double the supply of money, that means that your money is worth half. So whatever you were saving, it just drops in price. It's not sudden. It happens over time, and that's why people don't even feel that and don't realize. But that's a reality, and it's happening everywhere. In some places more than others. If you look at Venezuela, for example, or other places where they're having hyperinflation, it's very clear that their governments decided to suddenly create new money out of thin air, and therefore the value in their currency for the rest of the people living in the country. And you see in Argentina right now, people cannot even have US dollars. So even companies, if they receive payments in US dollars, or people receive money from the US, for example, the US dollars, they need to change into their local currency. They are forced to do that. And same thing with Bitcoin. And so anyway, that's maybe too much. So again, understanding what is centralized versus decentralized. So peer-to-peer versus somebody in the middle, can be a bank, can be just a regular company with their database. They have their own database here. And when A sends money to B, means that there's some changes on this database. So that's it. In this case, everybody has the database. This is one, it's called distributed ledger, which is part of the blockchain. So everybody will have a copy of the blockchain, which are the records of the transactions on the network. And if A sends to B some money, what he does is sends the message to everyone saying, I want to send, let's say, 1 Bitcoin to B, and therefore I am losing 1 Bitcoin on my account, and this person is receiving 1 Bitcoin extra. It's gonna have one more. So everybody changes their records on their ledger, and therefore everybody has this information, which means that if A wants to spend the very same Bitcoin and send it to C, everybody will say, no, you don't have this anymore, so you cannot do that. And this is pretty much how it works. So the term Bitcoin is simultaneously a number of things. So it's a monetary unit, so it's a currency, it's open source software as well, and it's the technology framework and network of a new digital monetary system. And Bitcoins as a unit of currency are used to store and transmit value among participants in the Bitcoin ecosystem and network. They do this by communicating through the internet using different machines, applications, and devices, such as your home computer or your mobile phone. But also Bitcoin can even be encoded on a emoji, or it can be a form of image on a postcard. So is actually it's not even limited to that, and it's limited to your own imagination, because it is completely virtual form of currency. And so to be super technical, it is understood as a content type, meaning that it can be streamed anywhere on the go. So because it's digital, and in reality, when you transfer value, you are just saying to everybody that that Bitcoin that is there, you are no longer the owner, but it's somebody else. And this information can be sent through internet, but also there are other different systems. So for example, let's say tomorrow internet doesn't work anymore. There are other ways to transmit this value. One of the ways is just by using radio frequencies. There is also satellite systems which broadcast the blockchain. So the main thing is, as long as you have the blockchain up to date, no matter what, no matter how you do it, you can just copy a floppy disk, let's say USB stick, or you can send a message over the radio, or you can just receive the signal from the satellite. As long as you have up to date the blockchain, then you can receive payments or send. So this is important for countries like countries in Africa, where the infrastructure is not really good, and other parts of the world. So what makes it so special? Again, it's a virtual currency, but to be fair, it's not even that. If we want to be completely technically accurate, Bitcoins are not even digital currencies per se. The currencies are implicit in the actual transaction between the participants, the sender and receiver, as mentioned before. And there is no central authority that mints or control the value of Bitcoin. The value itself is in a free market where buyers and sellers set the price. Let's say this means that you are philosophically and pragmatically your own bank. And with pros and cons, obviously, you have to be careful with many things like security, remembering where you have any password, remember where you put it, making sure you don't share it, and many other things. So there's a lot of responsibility as well with it, if you want to, because there are third parties also that can store your Bitcoins if you want, like a bank system. But the good thing is Bitcoin has no borders and does not require anyone's permission to be used. It is resistant to censorship, and impossible to stop. And Bitcoin and transactions between participants are fast, secure, and relatively cheap. Okay, so fast they are, but then some people can complain that they are very slow. This is because that is the confirmation. The payments themselves are very quick. And if you are talking about sending a small amount of money, you don't need to wait until a confirmation happens, because let's say to get back this money costs a lot of money, so it's not worth to attack this transaction. Secure they are, and cheap they are as well nowadays. I can tell you that I sent a transaction the other day for 1 cent. So, I mean, they are very cheap. If I pay with my credit card, my debit card, AIB debit card, I need to pay 20 cents every time I made a payment. So it's more expensive. And well, finally, it is simultaneously pseudonymous and transparent, meaning that the participants can send and receive value without having to identify themselves. For example, you don't need to share personal information such as names or physical addresses, and that each transaction is recorded for all to see in a publicly available ledger called blockchain. Okay, and here is the times, and this is the 3rd of January 2009. And when you see in a movie when somebody is asking for ransom, they got somebody and they want to prove they're still alive, so they show the newspaper of the day, and so the family will know that this person at that moment was still alive. So this is similar in this case, because this information here, when you see a canceller of brick of second bailout for banks, shows that this very same title is here on the Bitcoin Genesis block. And here you see 3rd of January 2009, canceller of brick of second bailout for banks. So it's a way to prove that this block wasn't created prior to this. So it was created the very same 3rd of January, and they added this information. At the same time, it's kind of a political or philosophical thing, because basically it's showing that probably Bitcoin is something needed, because look what happened. The banks are being bailed out by the governments, so they are spending money on the banks, on a private company, for example. Okay, obviously there's no more explanation about this. It's only to show that was created the very same 3rd of January 2009, and they put this because it's coming from that. And again, okay, well, that may be related to this person, Satoshi Nakamoto, being British as well, maybe. Okay, so the Genesis block is the first block, and that was mine, so it's block 0. And this is kind of showing how kind of work. So a blockchain is a chain of blocks. So there are blocks linked to each other in a chain way. Like, for example, block 0 is linked to block 1, and block 1 is linked to block 2. So the idea behind is that if you remove or modify a block, then everybody will see that very clearly, because the link is kind of broken, and is I don't want to be very technical here because this course is out of scope for us, but there is a cryptographic link between blocks. So the block number 0 was the first, so there's no link to a previous one, but the second one is there is a link to the first one, and this one is by kind of creating a hash of, or creating a hash of the previous one. Don't worry about this, but it's clear once if you want to modify the block, it's clear for everyone if you do that, and it costs a lot of money to do that, by the way, because of mining. And each block, what they have inside is 1 meg. The size of the block is 1 meg, and what they have inside is transactions. So it's transaction 1, 2, 3, 4. Also is data. So you can add more other information. You can add you can put a picture or a music if you want to, and you pay when you send this data to the blockchain. You are paying by the size of the data you want to put into the block. So when you hear about the transaction fee, it's related to the data that you are offering, because the fees is something that you can decide how much to pay. So you can pay more or less depending on how urgent for you is to add this data on the blockchain. And if it's something that you don't care when it's gonna be added to the blockchain, whether it's now or it's in 5 hours from now, then you can pay very little money. You can offer less money than the average. But if it's something urgent for you, you have to offer more, because the more you pay for the fees, the more chances that it's gonna be in the next block. And there is a block every 10 minutes, approximately as well. So that is all for today. It's been short. I'm gonna give you some homework if you want to. Obviously, it's up to you. There are 2 things that I will ask you to do. One is to read the white paper, which is, that's the link, is bitcoin.org/bitcoin.pdf. So it's very easy to remember. And that's the white paper. If it's too technical, don't worry too much. Just fly over it and just read a little bit if you can. And it is a few pages, I believe it's 6 pages or so it's very short. And I strongly recommend you to watch this video. I don't have the link here. I will put it in maybe on the description of the video. But if you search for Andreas Antonopoulos, Canadian Senate, or maybe if you don't know about this, Antonopoulos is very famous on this crypto world, and it's 1 hour and 52 minutes, but it's really worth to watch. And you can skip the few 5-10 minutes if you want to. You are in a hurry, but I really strongly advise you to watch this video. It's a really good one. This is 4 or 5 years old, but still it's really clear to understand. It's basically this guy informing or explaining the Canadian Senate why Bitcoin should be allowed to exist and not to be banned, and what are the pros and cons and this and that. So it's really worth to watch. I watched it like 2 or 3 times already, and I many people who come to me want to learn about Bitcoin. I think it's a good explanation of what Bitcoin is. This guy wrote several books about Bitcoin, about other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and so on, and really worth. Okay, yes, just look, you are right. And another thing, I have some delay. I like a 15-20 seconds delay over what is being streamed. So if you have any question or comment, please write it down, and I will go through them now. Okay, and thank you for being there. So let's see. Well done, David. Thank you, John. Audio is okay. I can hear fine. I can hear no problem. Yes, David, President. Okay. A price. Okay. And look, the price is big unknown. Okay. It is clear that over time it's gonna rise in price, and it's gonna be Bitcoin is gonna really there is this. If you look back in time, you will see that there is kind of every 4 years it's a cycle of 4 years. Some other people are saying that it's not really 4 years; it's getting longer every time. But because of the halving is every 4 years, it's actually related. So it's kind of keeping this 4 years cycle-ish. Maybe it's taking a little bit longer to become, to rise the price over all-time highs. And also it multiplies from the lower to the higher part of it, of the cycle. It multiplies less and less. So the first time, I think it was several thousands time 14,000 times, I believe. The other one, it was about, let's say several thousands, but less than this, like 4,000 times. This time, some people say it's just going to be only 40 times, 50 times more. I'm talking about from 3,200 until, just use a calculator, 40 times, 50 times, which, I mean, some people say the top is going to be 100,000. Other people say 200,000. Other people 400,000. Some people say the bull run is about to happen. Some people say in 1 year. And some other people say it's going to be 1 year and a half. So I believe it's not clear, okay? So in long term, let's say maximum 1 year and a half, we are talking about, multiplying the price of Bitcoin can be like easily 200,000, 250,000 euro each, okay? It all depends on how the coronavirus thing develops. If there are more waves, that can be good or can be bad for it. So because it's still proving itself. So this is one of the things. Let's say some people say it's going to, just after the halving, it's going to start rising up, and the FOMO is a big thing, So things happen very quickly on Bitcoin. So and 1 week after another can be totally different. Believing, I'm like feeling. Okay, so what I say is, by the halving, by next week, it can easily drop now to rise the price again, or it can maintain this price and even go to 10,000, 11,000, and maybe drop again price and then it rise again. So the important thing is if you are here for the long term, it's no big deal. The important thing as well is only spend what you can afford to lose. And if you do that, that means you will not need to sell when it's low, the price, and you can hold until the price rises. And it's just a matter of time. So Bitcoin has behaved very well. The 13th of March went down together with everything else, together with gold, together with the stock market, but has recovered a lot. So it's higher, the price is higher than that day, and still going up. Okay, so right now it's about 9,500, something like that. So another question? Yeah, Andreas Antonopoulos came to here to Dublin, yeah, and I was there as well. So it was very interesting. Actually, we have a beer afterwards. So we went to the canteen of the UCD, and we have a couple of beers with him, and it's a very nice guy, very nice, very friendly, approachable, and yeah, it's good to talk to him. And at the time he was writing the book for Ethereum, and I remember telling him that why he did that. Ethereum is not escalating very well, and so on. And he said, well, it's not escalating well, but there is some projects to get it better. And, it's is also an interesting cryptocurrency. Okay, let me read another one. Yeah, okay, so John, see, yeah, for some people, actually run for fiat. Some people believe really that it's the only thing you can really believe, because it's all based on mathematics. Nobody's gonna change the supply, and on the other hand, you have this stock market being helped by the government by these 3 trillion new money being printed, which it can keep the economy like going, but at the same time, people below them, like regular people like us, sooner or later we will have have to deal with the consequences of losing value of our money. Some people have sold their bitcoins. They, there are many people believing that it's gonna drop at least 1,000 euro, probably, sorry, US dollars, or probably even two. But they all agree that after that the price should go up again. So the idea is some of them have sold because they want to buy more with the same money, and some people even thinking that they are gonna drop in price, they didn't sell and they are expecting to buy cheaper anyway. Also, there is a lot of USDT waiting for buying the dip. Okay, guys, there is no any other comment or question. We're gonna finish, and I place you for tomorrow the same time at 5 p.m. We are going to have the second day of the course. This has been just an introduction of Bitcoin. It's gonna be more interesting, I suppose, hopefully. And so we are gonna continue tomorrow at 5 p.m. Okay, so thank you for being there. Thank you for supporting us, and see you tomorrow.